And time for a talk of the town today here on AM 1390 KRFO. Our guest today, Jared Hendricks from Owatonna Public Utilities. We've been waiting for this, and we knew it was coming, and it's almost here. It's open house time for Owatonna Public Utilities. It's next week, and tell us a little bit about it, Jared, to get us going.
Good morning. Yes, the open house is coming up, as you said, next week. That'll be Thursday next week, June 18th. That is going to start off at 9 o'clock in the morning with a dedication ceremony. And that is going to go through the rest of our business hours, and we're open till 7 p.m. on Thursday. So that's going to go from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thursday, June 18th. We're going to be giving tours in the half hour and hour. We're going to have some refreshments. We're going to be able to customers that want to come in and talk with some of the people at the utility to see what's going on. We're going to have the front entranceway is kind of a museum piece. We've got a lot of neat things to take a look at out at the new building here now that we're done finally.
It's been a couple of years, Robert, something like that. Just refresh our memories. Some of the things, well, we can see a few things from the outside, but what are some of the things that have been done now leading up to this open house? What's been improved, the entrances and such?
Sure. Well, let's start out with, just a reminder, this was because of the flood of 2010. September 2010 damaged a lot of generation equipment in the power plant building, as well as damaged the basement of our office structure that we used to be in. Because of that, we couldn't use the basement full time. We could only use it for some temporary meeting space. That dislocated a lot of our workers to other facilities of ours. So we had a lot of synergies that were lost whenever all of a sudden now we've got people at this location and this location, not all in one place. So we had a couple of things. We had an office that wasn't fully usable, and we had a power plant that now the generation equipment was basically destroyed in. Some of it was salvageable, and that was salvaged, but a lot of it was damaged permanently. So we had a couple of options. We needed a new office space, and we decided the other thing too was it cost effective to replace the generation, and they decided that there was cheaper, cleaner generation sources than to replace what we had in the power plant. And kind of been in the paper already that they're looking at another generation source in the area. It would be SIMPA owned, but that's another topic for another day. So we had an office space that wasn't usable, and we were looking to see, well, maybe we should build a new office somewhere else, kind of a greenfield site, or we should maybe repurpose and demo the inside of the power plant and use the power plant building. The community had a resounding, you got to keep the power plant building. It's a icon to Owatonna. We're unique that way, actually. Most towns, power plants are looked at as an eyesore. In Owatonna, our power plant is looked at as an icon, as an anchor facade in town that nobody really wants to lose. And it's a great location. We're very central to the town. We're not off to one side. We're not on the edge of the city limits, so people don't have to drive, kitty corner across town to get to us like some other utilities have become. They've had to expand, and when they went to Greenfield, the only place big enough for them was to go to the edge of the city limits. So thankfully, we were able to keep our location very central, downtown Owatonna, keep the power plant building, and we tore all the generation equipment out, and we've completely rebuilt that into our office site now. So we've got everybody from our meter services, line crew, gas water crew, all of our office personnel, accounting, customer service, obviously engineering. We're all in one location now. We're all under one roof, and we're using those synergies to help make us more efficient as well. Then, before in the old building, I had to walk across the parking lot to the engineering or the service center building if I wanted to speak to somebody over in the engineering area in person and not over the phone. And so that, you get up from your desk and you walk across the parking lot, and that takes a couple minutes. And every time you take a few extra minutes, well, then you're getting delayed and delayed. So now if I've got to get up, I walk about 100 feet and I'm in their office. So with that as well, you'll have noticed that the old office building has been demolished, and that's actually been able to expand our parking lot. So we've got a bigger parking lot than we used to have as well, and I'm happy to say it's a little bit easier to see where we're supposed to park, and it's easier to park in the parking lot. The old design was a little bit hectic sometimes. We had a couple of stripes that were difficult to understand from a customer's perspective, and really happy to see that they did a great layout with the parking lot, a lot more usable space now for both customers and employees alike, as well as other community members that might be coming in to utilize some of that office space as well. Some things that everybody's kind of noticed too as they've seen it go up, that glass on those big arched windows, that was Viracon glass. Our general contractor was Rocon, a local, obviously, contractor, and they utilized a lot of local contractors as well and a lot of local stuff. One of them being obviously that Viricon glass on the east side of the building that everybody's been, well, all over the building, but you really see it on the east side. Then you kind of see that the south and east entrances are a little bit different. They're using some of the old catwalk grading as the entrance areas, and it gives it a unique look and able to hold some historical artifacts from the old power plant building by keeping some of that grading. We've used that grading throughout the building too. So when you come in and give it a tour, again, June 18th, when you come in and get a tour, you'll see that grading is a common theme throughout the building. You're also going to see the valve wheels on the outside. Those were all taken from the equipment inside the power plant. We've saved a lot of other artifacts from the power plant as well. We've got a lot of boiler doors up in the museum area. We've got some of the old wrenches, and they've got some display cases that they're working on filling right now with some of those other artifacts. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not even sure yet what all of them will be. So I'm looking forward to seeing the museum piece completed as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you have had customers that, excuse me, if they pay online or pay with through the mail, maybe never even bother to go down to your offices and all that. So you mentioned the parking lot, and that's located where? And then once you park your car, what's the door you go in?
Sure. Well, we've got some on-street parking as well. But the parking lot is directly south of the power plant building. So as you turn onto Walnut, if you're coming from Bridge Street, which is the most common place people are coming from, and you're turning onto Walnut, you'll see obviously our building on the right-hand side. And as soon as you pass that south entrance, you'll see our parking lot immediately to the right before the service center building. So if you park in there, you can come in the south entrance, which is also our handicapped entrance and a ramp. And that is the area where we've got the museum as you walk in as well.
Okay, and it starts at 9, and then tours every half hour, and that's coming up on Thursday, so you can just simply show up.
Absolutely, just simply show up throughout the day. We're going to be available all day. I'll be giving tours mostly all day, I assume, and a lot of other employees are going to be giving tours as well. So we're going to have a really, really wonderful time showing off the building to the community, because really we are your utility. We are Owatonna's municipal utility.
Okay, and so the open house is Thursday. We've got time. We could talk about, we'll talk, last year we didn't have very many peak alerts. I don't know about this year, of course, but the importance of the peak alert, when people hear it, take action, right?
Absolutely. We had a hot day the other day, and we were doing some things internally to help reduce our electric demand as a utility. I don't know that it got to a peak alert, but as you said, last year we didn't have that many. It's kind of not on the top of our mind. We're coming off of a heating season, but absolutely peak alerts are extremely important. We actually have a different rates depending upon, as a utility, when we're buying electricity, depending upon what time of day and how high our demand is. And so when we can keep that demand low at the peak point in time of the day, we can keep our rates lower for the customers as well. It's really important to make sure that we've got capacity for both residential and industrial areas. At 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, when all those air conditioners come on, is actually really when we get our peaks in town. It's everybody comes home about the same time, and everything starts to come back on. Air conditioners come on, people throw a load of laundry in the washer, they throw a load of dishes in the dishwasher, and all of a sudden we've got a ton of electric demand all at one time, just because everybody's kind of getting off work at the same time. So when we do have these peak alert days, what we're asking for is maybe turn the temperature up on your air conditioner a couple of degrees. That'll help reduce how often it runs. Maybe hold off on doing some dishes and some laundry till a little bit later in the evening. I hate asking people to just relax, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're asking you to just kind of sit back, relax, maybe kind of delay your chores for a little bit, and then after 7 or 8, start that load of laundry, start that load of dishes then. That way we can help keep the rates lower for everybody in town.
We never run into a peak alert on the weekends, though. I don't recall.
No, it's just usually Monday through Friday. Yeah. Yep, Monday through Friday, somewhere between our what we call peak time is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So that's when they're looking at what the utility demand is. Outside of those times, the demand is just so much lower. You've got most commercial is shut down. A lot of industrial has been shut down. So there's a big part of the load that's been taken off of the distribution then, and you're basically just running some commercial. Your retailers obviously are open 24/7, and then you've got residential load as well then.
Okay. How about well, let's talk about some other tips. It's spring, summer's coming up. Some other things you'd like to discuss about, I don't know, cooling your home or lighting or whatever you'd like. You got 5 minutes to talk, whatever you'd like.
Sure, sure. Well, obviously, one of the things that we've talked a lot about in the last couple of years is having your air conditioner cleaned and tuned. You know, your air conditioner has a lot of things, a lot of components to it that all have to be working right to make sure it's working as efficiently as it should be. If you've got a dirty coil, if your fan filter is clogged, if the refrigerant charge is too much or too little, the outside coil, the condenser coil on the outside of your house, if that is plugged, that outside fan is going to run harder. All of these things play into account. So you've got not only the coil that you don't see inside the house in your furnace unit or your air handling portion of that. You've got the coil outside, cottonwood seeds, those little maple and ash tree helicopters, those all get stuck in there. Grass clippings, I had to clean out some grass clippings the other day as I was mowing my hayfield because it pretty much looked like one because it had got grown so quickly in a week. I had to pull those grass clippings out too because anything that's clogging that coil, that fan that's helping pull that heat out of that coil, has to run a lot harder to pull that heat out. Or if it's not able to pull as much heat out, your system isn't going to work as efficiently either because it's not getting that cooled down like it should be.
We've talked about this before. We could do it again. Talk about light bulbs, fluorescent or LEDs or regulars, and there's the argument to turn the light off every chance you get. Others say, no, don't do it. Take a look at each light and just tell us your advice. Should we turn the light off when we leave the room, or is it important, or isn't it?
It is important to turn the lights off when you leave the room. Today's technologies are really good about being able to handle being turned on and off. CFLs still have some lacking with that compared to LEDs. CFLs, that's kind of their Achilles tendon, is they do have some effect from switching, where LEDs don't. So what I kind of recommend is those areas where you are going to have frequent switching. So you've got your bathroom areas, closet spaces, anything that you're going to have on and off a lot. I recommend something like an LED where you're not going to wear them out more quickly. Now, if you're in the living room and you're going to turn that on for 3 hours and leave it on for the evening, that's a wonderful spot for a CFL still. They're a lot cheaper than LEDs. They're both wonderful products still, as long as you're buying a quality Energy Star product. We, of course, rebate Energy Star equipment, and we encourage everybody, even if you're not going to apply for rebate, I hope that you would, but that you buy Energy Star, whether it's light bulbs or appliances. It just makes sure that you're getting a good quality product. But getting back to the switching, yes, make sure to turn them off. Every second it's off, it means energy it's not using. Every second it's off is time of its lifetime that it's not wasting. So if you walk out of the room for 5 minutes, shut the light off. That's 5 minutes worth of energy you weren't using. That's 5 minutes worth of its usable life that it still has.
How about power strips? There's a discussion about that for a while too, that even some TV sets, when they're turned off, they're still drawing electricity, or your computer monitor. Turn the power strip off whenever you can too, or?
If you can, yes. Obviously, there's some things, if you've got a DVR and you've got shows set to record, you don't want to shut that off. It's not going to work if you've got the power strip turned off. But some of the new power strips have them so that you've got some unswitched outlets as well. So you can use just one power strip and turn those one or two components that cannot be shut off into those, and then you can flip the switch on everything else. But you're absolutely right. TVs, cable boxes, stereo equipments, anything that can be turned on with a remote actually is drawing electricity even when you're not using it, because it's in a standby mode. Some of those things are drawing more than others. If you want to know how much it's drawing, you can definitely stop down to our office, check out a WhatsApp meter. You can plug that in and say, oh, well, now I see what it's drawing when I'm not using it too.
Okay. And that's Jared Hendricks from OPU. Again, their open house. You can check out the remodeling. It's Thursday, 9 to 7. Tours every half hour. And that's our Talk of the Town for today here on AM 1390. And time for our Talk of the Town today.